These are the largest land vehicles on the planet. They're big enough to move mountains, are as heavy as a luxury cruise ship, and some of them are so huge they literally featured as a Decepticon in a Transformers movie. Here are the 8 biggest on our list. Welcome to Explained. Let's start with the Belaz 75710. When it comes to hauling tons of raw material, a bigger truck equals a more cost-efficient process, and thus the Belaz 75710 was born. This is the biggest haul truck in the world. It works in the coal mines in Siberia and has a hauling capacity of 496 tons. This big boy measures over 20 meters in length. That's as long as 2 double-decker buses parked end-to-end, and it weighs more than a fully loaded Airbus A380. But don't be fooled by its size. This beast can work 23 hours straight every day. Its 8 wheels are in pairs and the tires are so huge you'd struggle to reach halfway up. But for something so big, it's actually quite maneuverable and has a top speed of 64 kilometers an hour. So it's probably best to stay out of its way.
Explained is getting its own channel. We launch next Saturday, so go subscribe now.
Next up, the Komatsu P&H L2350. This massive dirt-moving machine is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's largest wheel loader. And it's designed to load giant haul trucks like the Belaz. This beast is over 2 stories tall and weighs 272 tons. While it isn't built for speed, it can carry really heavy loads of raw material like coal and copper ore. In fact, its massive shovel can carry a payload of 80 tons in one go and lift it 7 meters off the ground. That's like lifting up an M1A2 Abrams tank plus a smaller one. But this mammoth is not the biggest on our list. Introducing the Caterpillar 6090 FS. We've seen excavators before, but none of them are as gigantic as the Caterpillar 6090 FS. This hydraulic shovel is the most powerful type of excavator of its kind and the largest in the world. It's mainly used for mining and heavy digging projects, but it can also handle any job that requires heavy lifting. This mammoth can pick up 103 tons in one go and loads nearly 10,000 tons of earth an hour. It's 13.5 meters long, 10 meters tall, and weighs 1,102 tons. To put that into perspective, that's as tall as a 3-story building and is as heavy as 5 blue whales. In fact, this big guy was built based on another giant, the Bucyrus RH400. And this machine is so huge and fierce-looking, it inspired the Decepticon called Demolisher in Transformers 2: Revenge of the Fallen. This earth mover is pretty intimidating, but this next one moves us into the monster category. But before we go any further, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Presenting the Liebherr LR 13000 crawler crane. This monster is the most powerful crawler crane in the world. It's used in the construction of massive power plants and can lift up 3,300 tons in one load. Its main boom has a height of 248 meters. That's the length of 2.5 football fields. I mean, honestly, can things get cooler than this? Yes, they can. Introducing the NASA Crawler Transporter. This giant was built by NASA back in the 1960s by adapting mining equipment. And if you haven't already guessed it, this $144 million crawler transporter is designed to carry rockets to their launch pads. It's also the largest self-powered vehicle on the planet. But don't take our word for it. Here are some facts. It weighs 3,300 tons. That's as heavy as 15 Statues of Liberty. It's 8 meters tall, 40 meters long, and 35 meters wide. Basically, it can fit a professional baseball infield on top of it. But this big guy isn't built for speed. So while it can carry an 18 million pound rocket, it moves at just 1.6 kilometers an hour. And when it's not loaded, it has a whopping top speed of 3.2 kilometers an hour. It has 2 operator cabins on opposite corners, so instead of reversing it, the driver just walks to the other corner and drives it in the opposite direction. But that doesn't mean that navigating it is easy. In fact, taking turns is one of the crawler's biggest challenges. Before we get to number 1, let's run through the next 2. Now, these aren't in use at the moment, but they're incredibly big and still hold world records in their own category. First, there's Big Muskie, the biggest dragline excavator ever made. This beast weighed 12.2 million kilograms and was 22 stories high. Its scooping bucket was as big as a 12-car garage, and it was created specifically to work on mines in hilly terrain. In its 22 years of service, Big Muskie removed twice the amount of earth that was moved during the construction of the Panama Canal. Next is Schwerer Gustav and Dora. Gustav and Dora were built by Germany and were actually the largest caliber rifled weapons ever used in combat. They were 17 meters tall, 47 meters long, and weighed nearly 1,500 tons each. But they had one flaw: they were too big. So maneuvering them to different locations was a huge challenge since they could only travel by rail. All right, here it is. Finally, at number 1, the Bagger 293. This humongous beast doesn't even look like it belongs on Earth, but it's been crowned the heaviest terrestrial vehicle on the planet by the Guinness Book of World Records. It's 225 meters long and 95 meters tall. That's like a luxury ocean liner on land. This monster weighs 15,650 tons or 15.6 million kilos, and it works in the open coal mines in Germany. So how does it work? It runs on 20,000 kilowatts of power, which is enough electricity to run a small city. It has 18 buckets fitted onto a massive wheel at the front of it, and each of these buckets can pick up 7,000 kilos of coal in one scoop. The coal is loaded onto a conveyor belt that connects to the main mine, and from there, it's loaded onto trains and sent to power stations across Germany. But this beast doesn't just sit in one place. When it's done eating through one mountain of coal, it moves on to the next. At a speed of around 1 kilometer an hour, this giant can take weeks or months to get to the next location. And any road it drives over has to be rebuilt because it literally crushes and destroys the concrete it passes over. Have you ever seen any of these giants up close? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.